Apple is one of the world's leading technology companies, but it is also a leader in sustainability. The company has set an ambitious goal to make its entire supply chain carbon neutral by 2030, meaning that every product it sells will have net zero climate impact. This includes not only Apple's own operations, but also the operations of its suppliers, who are responsible for most of the emissions associated with Apple products. To achieve this goal, Apple is working closely with its global supply chain to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and transition to clean energy sources. The company has called on its suppliers to decarbonize their Apple-related operations by running on 100% renewable electricity and taking other steps to lower their carbon footprint. Apple will evaluate the progress of its major manufacturing partners every year and partner with those who are making measurable progress toward decarbonization. Apple has already made significant strides in this direction. More than 200 suppliers have committed to using clean power for all Apple production, and Apple has invested in renewable energy projects around the world to support them. As a result, Apple has reduced its emissions by 40% since 2015 and has been carbon neutral for its global corporate operations since 2020. Apple's commitment to decarbonize its supply chain is not only good for the planet, but also good for business. By using renewable energy, Apple and its suppliers can save money, increase efficiency, and reduce risks from climate change. Apple also believes that decarbonizing its supply chain will spur innovation and create new opportunities for green jobs and economic growth. Apple's vision is to create products that are not only innovative and delightful, but also respectful of the environment and the people who make them. By decarbonizing its supply chain by 2030, Apple hopes to inspire other companies and consumers to join the fight against climate change and create a better future for everyone. Apple's diversification of its supply chain locations, especially in India and Vietnam, to reduce its exposure to China's COVID-related lockdowns and trade tensions with the US. Apple has long relied on China as the main manufacturing hub for its products, but in recent years, it has faced several challenges that have disrupted its supply chain and threatened its market share. The COVID-19 pandemic, which originated in China, forced many factories to shut down or operate at reduced capacity, affecting the production and delivery of Apple devices. The ongoing trade war between the US and China also increased the tariffs and risks for Apple, which imports most of its products from China to sell in the US and other markets. To overcome these challenges and diversify its production base, Apple has been shifting some of its manufacturing operations to other countries, especially India and Vietnam. These two countries offer several advantages for Apple, such as lower labor costs, favorable government policies, large consumer markets, and strategic locations. India is emerging as a key destination for iPhone production, as Apple seeks to tap into the second-largest smartphone market in the world and reduce its dependence on China. According to Counterpoint research analysts Ivan Lam and Xinghao Bai, Apple has already invested in factories, production lines, advanced manufacturing processes, and personnel training in India with the help of its assembly partners Foxconn and Pegatron. They estimate that Apple will triple its iPhone output in India in the next 2 years. In fact, some of the iPhone 14 models are expected to be produced in India almost simultaneously with China. This will not only help Apple save on import duties and taxes, but also cater to the growing demand for iPhones in India. Vietnam is another country that Apple is eyeing for its supply chain diversification. Vietnam has attracted 21 Apple suppliers to operate in the country, according to a report by Vietnam Insider. While Vietnam does not have the capacity to produce iPhones yet, it has become a major site for manufacturing other Apple products, such as MacBooks, iPads, AirPods, and HomePods. Apple started testing the production of its Apple Watch in Vietnam earlier this year before deciding to move the production of its MacBooks there as well. Vietnam offers lower labor costs than China, as well as a skilled and young workforce. Vietnam also benefits from its proximity to China, which allows it to source components and materials easily. By diversifying its supply chain locations to India and Vietnam, Apple is aiming to reduce its exposure to the uncertainties and risks associated with China, This will also enable Apple to optimize its costs, improve its quality control, and expand its market reach. However, this does not mean that Apple will abandon China completely. China still remains a vital manufacturing hub and a huge consumer market for Apple. It will take time and effort for Apple to replicate the scale and efficiency of its Chinese operations elsewhere. Therefore, Apple's strategy is not to replace China, but to complement it with other options.